bullets are there to the right. Okay? So, look, first and foremost, this is a great turnout. For our first meetup hosted by ourselves, we're quite happy with it. We're also very grateful you could all come. I know it's been a round of applause. I know it's been a while since everyone's got to maybe see each other or come to a meetup or do something like this. So look, we're appreciative, but also you've heard a lot from recruiters in the past. So this is going to be the first of many. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Diren, and she's going to be talking about cloud observability. Here we go.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today to observe this talk. Before we begin, I would like to share the QR code for the presentation slides for those who would like to follow along. Well, serverless is a godsend, but in the cloud world, failures are always around the corner. Unfortunately, we cannot prevent all failures, but we can try to detect them as soon as possible and react quickly. So this is where observability comes in, and observability is your friend from day one. In this talk, I will give an overview of how to set up dashboards and alarms in AWS CloudWatch for serverless applications. I will also introduce our open source observability plugin, SLIC, which automates away the pain of setting up dashboards and alarms in CloudWatch and enables better levels of observability. Let me introduce myself very briefly. I promise I will try to keep it brief because, as we all may agree, we women like talking, right? But unfortunately, we cannot see this happening in technical events because there are only a few females working in IT. I am Diren and here to encourage other females to join me. And unfortunately, I don't have so much experience in IT, but that's okay because you need to start from somewhere, right? Yeah. I came from civil engineering background and I have over 3 years of experience as a civil engineer, and I came to Dublin to learn English, then committed, and I was always interested in about working cloud technologies, and I thought there was no better time to start from somewhere, and I enrolled computer science programming in higher diploma at City College Dublin, and this is how I met with David Gonzalez. And yeah, then I survived actually, but it was a long journey for me, and I ended up working in fourTheorem. So it's gonna be 2 years in October since I joined fourTheorem. I am really enthusiastic working for serverless technologies and observability, also for chaos engineering. And at fourTheorem, I mostly work in our internal projects, and recently I maintain our open source observability plugin SLIC, which I will be talking about. And I mostly use programming languages, JavaScript and TypeScript in fourTheorem. So actually, I know there are some audience now between us. Some of them is not, some of them is non-technical, some of them is juniors like me, and some of them are very professional. So that's why I want to say, if you are really passionate about working in cloud technologies or in IT, it's never too difficult to learn, and it's never too late to start from somewhere. And it's great actually you have different experiences in different areas, because I really believe you bloom once you get to your first step and bring the values with you, either technicals or soft skills. And I always say that if I can do that, anyone can do. Actually, I said it was going to be brief, but so probably it wasn't, but for me at least it's quite brief. So feel free to get in touch with me. See my Twitter, LinkedIn, and GitHub account is there. Sorry. So as fourTheorem, we are AWS consulting partner and we are doing a lot of work on AWS. If you want to learn more about fourTheorem, here is the QR code for the websites. Please go for it. And I want to highlight something what we provide for our clients. These are cloud migrations, training and cloud enablement, and building high-performance service applications and cutting cloud costs. By the way, everyone can hear me, right? I could use the microphone if my voice is not enough. No. Okay. And our architects write books, and we maintain bunch of open source projects. MIDI is a middleware Lambda framework. SLIC Starter is a complete starter project for serverless applications on AWS. SLIC Watch is open source observability plugin, which I will be talking about. And we are running weekly podcasts on AWS topics. If you want to check the podcast, please visit the website is awsbytes.com. awsbytes.com. So I highly recommend you to check because there are very interesting topics on that. So let's start with the definition of observability. Observability is the ability to measure the internal state of a system by examining its outputs. There are three major pillars of observability. These are logs, metrics, and tracing. A log is an immutable timestamp record of discrete events that happened over time. Metrics are all the metrics around and all the data you are getting. So you can see, do I have a problem? How full of my disk drive? How much CPU am I using? And trace represents the end-to-end journey of a request through a distributed system. So you can see where is the problem. In AWS native, the main tool for observability is CloudWatch. And what CloudWatch gives you? Logs with insights, metrics, dashboards, alarms, canaries, and distributed tracing with X-ray. Let's talk a little bit more about CloudWatch and what CloudWatch gives you out of the box. Firstly, we need to understand it's a toolkit to allow you to build observability solutions yourself. Metrics are automatically generated for all services, which is great. Lots of dashboards, but oriented by service, not by application, and zero alarms out of the box. Which actually makes sense because the alarming you really want to do based on understanding your application context, like at what level you want to alert on. CloudWatch is already a super powerful tool, but setting up dashboards and alarms in CloudWatch is a bit of pain and requires some work. Like you need to research and understand available metrics. You need to decide your thresholds at what level you want to alert on. You need to write infrastructure as code for your application dashboards as well as for your service metric alarms. And every time you add a new service to your application or even a new Lambda function, you need to update your dashboards and alarms, and you need to make sure that you do that for each step in your application. To be honest, that's a lot of work, but it is really worth it to have the observability. I highly recommend you to please treat your observability as you treat your unit tests. Maintain it, carrot feed it will definitely pay you back. Thankfully, there are great places that we can research and understand available metrics. The AWS well-architected framework is very well written, and the operational excellent pillar is the one covering the observability. If you are doing serverless work, definitely look at the serverless lens, which applies these 6 pillars. It provides very good guidance on metrics, but you still need to pick your thresholds. Okay, but which metrics are really essential? And here is the golden signals come to stage. These are the 4 key metrics. The first metric you want to look for is called latency. It is the amount of time it takes to service a request. And the next metric is traffic. It is the volume of requests that a system is currently handling. And errors is the rate of requests that fail. And final saturation is the percentage of available resources being consumed. So this is what infrastructure as code look like, and this is an alarm for lambda throttling metric. So there is some work you need to do if you are going to write those for every single lambda function in your application. This is certainly a beautiful journey, but a long one. What if you don't have the time or resources to focus on that right now? Okay, can we automate this? Please keep in mind this question, but let's first understand how the system works. When we deploy applications to AWS, we typically use infrastructure as code. And most tooling for AWS infrastructure as code is built around CloudFormation stacks. This can be serverless framework, AWS SAM, and CDK. And every application is composed one or more stacks. And each stack is a set of resources like Lambda function, SQSQ, DynamoDB table, so on. So, before we deploy that, can we see which services should have dashboards and alarms and magically generate them without going through the whole bunch of work every time? And the answer is yes, we can. At fourTheorem, we are really obsessed with observability, and that obsession led us to build SLIC Watch. So the idea around the SLIC Watch is just put the plugin into your system. It will automatically look into your stack, enrich it with CloudFormation dashboards and alarms for the resources you are using. So, as simple as possible, with the minimum amount of work to get observability up and going. And how does SLIC Watch works? If we look at the serverless framework and AWS SAM, both are those of YAML configurations. When we run a deploy with these frameworks, what happens behind the scenes, it takes your YAML configuration, builds a big JSON, and then apply this to CloudFormation stacks, which then deploys and updates your stack in AWS. So what SLIC Watch does is to hook into framework lifecycle events on a deploy and interpret your CloudFormation JSON for each service and create dashboards and alarms for these each services. So this is how you get actually observability baked from day one, and this is what then get deployed into AWS. So of course, SLIC Watch is fully configurable. You can disable what you don't like. Even you can configure the thresholds if the defaults don't suit you. Here is the QR code for the repository. If you want to learn more about SLIC Watch, please scan it and go for the repository with details on the README page. And if you have any questions, please contact us. We would be more than happy to talk to you about it. And before SLIC Watch, if you go to AWS CloudWatch console, you see no alarms, just a blank screen. But if you add this plugin into your project, you will get a view of relevant alarms created for the resources from our stack. And you can even drill down to see alarm details. And this is the complete dashboards with all the relevant metrics from our stack. So as you can see, everything is on a page. You can observe the whole system just by scrolling up and down rather than jumping between console windows. And so we understand how the whole distributed system is connected and what are the signs when something goes wrong. And the other key feature is to be able to have alerting delivery to a channel. Just by simply adding SNS topic to the configuration, SLIC Watch by default then deliver all of your alarms to that SNS topic. So you can integrate this SNS topic with monitoring tools like AWS Chatbot, OpsGenerator, PagerDuty, whatever suits you. So just to wrap up that, when you are building event-driven systems, you need to be able to understand what's going on, and you really want to spot when services are failing before users do. So this is really what observability is all about. And observability is your friend from day one. I hope this is the one takeaway you are going to get from this talk. And CloudWatch is already a super powerful tool, but it's a toolkit you need to put effort into it. Automation takes away the pain of setting up dashboards and alarms in CloudWatch, and tools like SLIC gives you that automation. So we love to hear your feedback. Let's make it better together. Thank you.
That was great. Thanks for explaining some AWS services. And there are so many, and they got lost on me,
Yes,
so you kind of
over
helped out there.
300
Too many.
services, yeah.
Yes, I guess we'll open up to the floor for a couple of questions, and after that, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll go from there, guys, all right? So, it's all you.
Yes.
So you mentioned it takes serverless or SAM YAML file. Is there any Terraform integration or any plan for a Terraform integration?
At the
Because I know
moment,
there's some legacy stuff that I have.
yeah. At the moment, we don't support Terraform and Pulumi. The reason behind that, because they don't use CloudFormation under the hood, but we are open, you know, if you want to contribute our projects, you're more than welcome. Yeah.
So is the CloudWatch data that's predominantly feeding into it, or are you switching on other metrics to get a richer set of data feeding into your system? Or
No.
everything you need is in CloudWatch?
Yes, everything is already actually in CloudWatch, but CloudWatch doesn't know our application context, right? That's why I said CloudWatch is already a super powerful tool, but setting up dashboards and alarms in CloudWatch is painful. And I showed actually this infrastructure as code. You can do actually like without using SLIC, but it's going to be really painful because you need to do this for every single service and every single Lambda function in your application.
And just the two outputs, the CloudFormation structures that you showed a couple of slides further on, what your SLIC is doing is it's layering some tagging
Oh,
on
okay.
the second.
Yeah, actually